Welcome to the Lost Together podcast. I'm Joe, and this is my effort to convince my wife that this is one of the greatest shows ever produced, Lost, which was directed and aired in 2004. Our episode today, Tabula Rasa, debuted on October 6th, 2004. Just a reminder, we recommend that you watch this episode, which you can watch on Netflix or Hulu, and then come back and listen to the rest of this episode. You can reach us at losttogetherpodcast@gmail.com, and we will answer your questions in future episodes. Or you can find us on YouTube and just search Lost Together Podcast.
We're live.
Hello, and welcome to the Lost Together Podcast. My effort to convince my wife that it is one of the greatest shows ever produced, directed, and aired. We're talking about episode 3, Tabula Rasa from season 1. Tabula Rasa debuted on October 6, 2004, and it is either the second or the third episode, depending on whether or not you count the pilot together. For our purposes, it's episode 3. So before we kind of get into the regular features that we have on the show, let's just kind of do some basic thoughts. What'd you think about this?
This was the first episode that I really enjoyed. I had some really good feelings. Not like, oh my god, this is annoying, what's going on. I really enjoyed this episode. I had some really good stuff happen.
So I think it's worth noting that of all the times you've ever tried to watch Lost with me, we've never made it to this episode.
No.
So
I don't think we made it to episode 2 even.
We did. I distinctly remember the last time we tried that you started scrolling your phone kind of midway through episode 2.
Well, I do that though. I do that.
Yes. So yeah, that happened last time. But this time we got through Tabula Rasa, which I think is a really good early episode, and something of note before we get into the recap. It's one of the first, actually I think it's the first episode, it is, where the flashback series isn't a true flashback and not a flashback to the plane, like being on the plane.
Yeah, we're getting some context about Kate, basically.
Yeah. Character development.
Yeah.
Kate working in her seamstress shop. Oh, wait, no, she wasn't, because she's not a seamstress.
Not a seamstress at all.
That was really just more making fun of you calling her a seamstress for episode after episode.
Well, she said she made drapes.
Again, I have plunged a toilet before. I'm not a plunger.
Oh, my God.
A plumber, even. Definitely not a plunger, but I'm also not a plumber. Yeah, that was an early diversion. I remember when I first watched through the series, and I watched it through on DVD the first time I watched it. Actually, I had the DVD set, and I remember looking at the number of episodes on the back, and in the first couple of episodes we're just getting flashbacks to stuff happening on the plane. And I remember thinking, how in the world are they going to flesh out a plane ride and then a crash over the course of, was it 25 episodes in the first season?
Oh my God.
And so then you get to this episode and you finally start to get a little bit of context, and the flashbacks are further back. And I remember being mind blown early, because I latched on to the show in episode 1. But when you get to episode 3, you go, man, we're going to maybe go further and further back here. We're maybe going to, how far back is this going to go for flashbacks? What'd you think about the Kate story in flashbacks? Just kind of general thoughts.
Yeah, it was great. Obviously there's still some mystery. We still don't know what she did. The air marshal, which, the subtitles have got his name listed as Marshall. Is that because he's the air marshal, or is his name also Marshall?
No, it's because he's the air marshal.
Okay. So, but even that didn't make sense based on the flashback that he would be an air marshal. So.
But he's not an air marshal. He's a U.S. marshal.
Oh.
Meaning, it just means that he does more than just ride around on airplanes.
Okay. So he's like a national bounty hunter.
For the court system, yeah. He's retrieving somebody who needs to be in court, essentially. So that's why he's there.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked, getting to find out a little bit more about her. Obviously, I want to know what the hell she did. We get to find that out, right?
Sorry, did we...
That's so annoying.
Can I? It's not in this episode, so I don't think I can tell you anything about it. No information about future episodes. So, all right. So let's just go ahead and get into the recap because I think it's kind of hard to get into specific things that happened in the episode without it. So go ahead and give us your recap of this episode.
Okay. So one of the first things that it opens with Jack and the marshal and maybe Hurley in the tent. And then Jack finds Kate's mugshot, the folded up piece of paper that the marshal had with him. So that's where we first learn, like, ooh, Kate's like an actual criminal. And it's Harrison Valley Police mugshot. I don't know if that's important or not.
It's interesting because I did not know that. So
Harrison Valley Police. And then we find out it's officially not a dinosaur, whatever is out in the woods. Not a dinosaur. I don't remember who was talking about it. Saeed and somebody else maybe. My notes are not great. There was a lot happening. They all are trying to come back down the mountain from having the transceiver, and they're camping out because it's obviously a really long walk. Boone tries to take the gun, and I think Saeed had the gun, right?
yes.
Yeah. So Boone...
Well, kind of. It was separated. Remember?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Saeed had the clip.
Okay. So Boone's like trying to put it together. Saeed wakes up and freaks the hell out and then goes like, we should give it to Kate. So then Kate gets the gun back.
That's
like,
right.
Yeah, so she's like got it in the back of her pants. Then from there we go to the flashback of Kate, and she like is in a sheep barn in Australia, and some farmer finds her and he's like, hello. And then she's like, oh shit, sorry, I'll leave. And then he's like, I'll pay you a fair wage if you know how to work a farm. Also, I have a prosthetic right arm.
So did she meet a strange man that made her nervous, that took her in and gave her breakfast by any chance?
From the land down under?
Yeah, from the land down under. Interesting. Literally feeds her breakfast. If he were a woman, it would have been spot on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's interesting.
That is. Yeah, no, so his right arm, the whole arm is prosthetic. It's wooden. We don't know why. He doesn't say. Then we kind of come back to the island. So she's like agreed to work on the farm, getting paid. Thanks. Back to the island. Saeed is like stepping up as a leader. He's splitting people up into 3 camps. Like, you fools go get water. You fools go get food. You fools go get wood. He's like organizing people to go do things. So good for him. Jack and they come, obviously they're back from the mountain. Kate tells Jack, like, hey, we agreed we weren't going to tell anybody about the whole transceiver French lady thing, but I'm going to tell you about it. She's been here for 16 years. Like, I think we're in trouble. And then Jack's like, do you have anything else you want to tell me?
Because Jack found out at the end of the last episode via the headshot.
No, that was the beginning of this episode. He finds the Harrison Valley mugshot.
That's right.
Yeah. So he knows that she is a criminal. And he's like, anything else? And she's like, no. So he lied to her about it. Then we go back to the farm. Kate tries to leave in the middle of the night. Farmer wakes up and he's like, I wish you wouldn't do that. And he's like, stay one more night. So then in the morning, he's driving her to the train station, which isn't that is it in Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul? The train station is, oh no, it was Yellowstone. If they're taking him to the train station, they're going to go kill him or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah. So the train station, if anybody ever says they're going to take you to a train station, don't go. They're going to kill you. So he's taking Kate to the train station, and then here comes the freaking marshal pulling up. Turns out the farmer is going to turn her in for $23,000 because he's got a hell of a mortgage or whatever. And Air Marshal pulls up and then like points his fingers at Kate like a gun and acts like he's shooting, which is weird. What a weird thing. Not professional. You're a damn government agent. Act like one. We're back to the island. Creed has a name, and it's not Creed. It's John Locke. And he is a nice man.
Yeah, John Locke. So at some point in the last episode, our episode, we were talking about Tabula Rasa and how it was popularized by philosopher John Locke, which is great. That you were like, I think you said something like John Locke is a dumb name or something like that. Either way, there was some mention of John Locke in the last episode, and I was dying to tell you that that's Creed's name, but obviously I think it was better for you to find out the way that you did.
So Walt mentions to his dad, Michael, that Mr. Locke said that a miracle happened to him. And then Michael's like, yeah, a miracle happened to all of us. We survived a plane crash. And then Michael is swearing to Walt that he's going to find Vincent. Because in the last episode, he was like, tell you what, when we get back home, I'll get you a new dog. Because that's what you say. Not. So Michael walks, they're hiding underneath like part of the plane, and Michael says like, as soon as it stops raining, I'm going to go find your dog. And then like at that moment it stops raining, so he has to go look for Vincent. And then he stumbles upon the Korean lady, and she's naked because her dick husband was like, you're filthy, go wash up. So she's like washing herself off. And then while Michael's out in the woods, he hears the not dinosaur start growling. Something's growling, chasing him.
He hears something.
Yeah, it's not Vincent. Something is after him. So he runs, finds the naked Korean lady. Then we're back to Kate. And Kate is like, oh, shit, Australian farmer, you're going to turn me in. So she tries to yank the wheel. They flip the truck like 50 times. It catches on fire. He's unconscious. His head's bleeding. And Kate could have left him in that truck to die. But instead, she drug his ass all the way through some foliage up to the side of the road where he would definitely get found. And then the freaking air marshal caught her. So, and I think he says later, he's like, if you hadn't saved him, you could have got away. But, yeah, so she... and then another thing that I noticed, in the plane crash, she put the mask on the air marshal before she put her own mask on. Because he gets hit in the head with that suitcase, and he's like out immediately. She puts his mask on, and then she puts her mask on.
Well, as I think it's Mike Ehrmantraut from the Breaking Bad series, but it's in Better Call Saul, where he's talking to another character, and he says that lawfulness is not a substitute for goodness, basically. He's known good and bad people on both sides of the law. So, honorable thieves and dishonorable priests. So, in this case, we've got Kate, who is definitely a criminal.
She's been arrested, obviously.
But then, she is making sure the air marshal is saved, or the U.S. Marshal, and then making sure that Ray Mullen is taken care of.
Yeah, because she tells the air marshal, because right before the plane crash, she goes like, I've got a favor to ask. So then he asks her, what was your favor? And she was going to say, make sure that Ray Mullen, the Australian guy, gets his $23,000 because he's got a hell of a mortgage.
Yeah.
So, those are two people who either betrayed her or are trying to get her ass in a whole lot of trouble. And she's still doing the right thing.
She's still doing a thing, for sure. And do you remember earlier in the episode when Ray catches her digging a tin can out of a closet?
Yeah, because she's hiding her money.
Why?
She said she has trust issues. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, worth noting. They mention it and then just kind of drop it. So she tells him that she's got trust issues, and then he tries to turn her in. Mm-hmm. But then she still tries to save him when the wreck happens. Also, quite a couple of days for Kate, surviving a horrible car accident and then also a plane crash.
Yeah, that truck flipped a lot.
If she gets on a boat, she's really going to be hosed.
Oh, God.
Just have a Titanic situation happen after a truck flip and a plane crash. Because that truck flip was like a kind of a comical crash.
Yeah, it was like her looking up the mountain in the last episode. Just exaggerated.
By the way, I did a little searching because I actually didn't know. The marshal's name is Edward Mars. So I don't know if that comes up or if it was said at some point. I missed it, but his name's Edward Mars.
Yeah, the subtitles, literally, his name is Marshall.
Okay, so continue.
So now we're back on the island. Edward Mars has been screaming out loud for like a full day because he's very, very ill. Definitely not going to make it. But Jack will not give up on him. So he's like looting the plane for any medication, trying to like make him feel better. Or not make him feel better, but just like prolong his life, because it seems like it's not as important to Jack about the quality of the life, just that he has done what he can to prolong the life, because he's a doctor, and I guess that's what people expect of doctors, is to like fix and or save.
Well, it's part of their
oath.
Their oath, do no harm. And
sure.
So,
but then, like, is him screaming and in agony on a beach, isn't that harm?
Well, we'll get to that. So keep to your...
So him and Sawyer's also looting the plane, but he got like nudie mags and cigarettes and fun stuff.
Sure.
So they have a weird little conversation, and Sawyer's like, I'm just here for the ride or whatever.
He says, I'm in the wild.
That's it, says, yeah. So it comes to a head. Saeed is like, Jack, you got to do something, because Air Marshal is stressing everybody out. He's screaming constantly like he's suffering, like you got to do something. Jack's like, what do you expect me to do? So then it all comes to a head. You think that Kate is going to be the one that, because the gun has one bullet left, you think Kate's going to be the one to kill the Air Marshal as a mercy killing, because Jack is like, fuck you, I'm not doing it. And then, you know, Kate walks out of the tent. You hear a gunshot. I thought that she handed the gun to the Air Marshal and let him shoot himself, because she's like, I can't kill him. So then out comes Sawyer, who shot him in the chest. You idiot. Why would he not shoot him in the face? Why would he shoot him in the chest?
I thought about that, actually. And I guess the only thing I could think is, if you are a person who is, you know, reasonably squeamish about a mercy killing, mm-hmm. that you may shoot somebody in the chest so that you don't see their disfigured face after you shoot them dead.
If I had to, if I had to kill somebody like that, put it right against the side of their head, turn your head away, close your eyes, pull the trigger.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's a possible reason why he didn't shoot him in the face.
Sure, but he seems like a big, you know, Billy Badass. So.
Well, yeah, but also when he found out that it didn't kill him, he was
very upset.
Yeah, he was very upset.
Yeah, I mean, you would be. Because then Jack was like, oh, you perforated his lung and it's going to take hours to bleed out or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, you know, instead of screaming, now you can hear the Air Marshal like gurgling, which is even worse, I think. Yeah. So then you said Jack killed him, mm-hmm. which I did not.
Well, it's implied, and that's actually a question I have, but is that the end of your recap?
No, because earlier in the episode, we find John Locke doing some whittling, and then he's like, I made a whistle. And he doesn't say what the whistle's for. And then after the Air Marshal dies, we go back to John Locke. He made a dog whistle, and he's whistling into the woods for the dog. Here comes Vincent. Then he goes and finds Michael, wakes Michael up, and says, hey, I know your son just lost his mom, and this dog is really important. I caught the dog. He's tied to a tree. Go get him and bring him to your son. So he let Michael have all the glory in that moment. Not a weirdo. What a good guy. What a stand-up guy. Good for him.
And I remember you saying kind of in the early part of your reactions that, you know, John Locke seemed creepy.
Yeah, he did. He did. And then after Vincent comes back, there's like a Jack Johnson-esque music-filled montage.
I think it may literally be Jack Johnson.
Was it Jack? I don't know.
I think so.
Saeed like throws Sawyer an apple, and Sawyer catches it, and then like smiles and nods, and then like Shannon is helping dig through the, you know, all the suitcases, and she's smiling at Boone, and everybody's so happy, and it's like, oh, we're feeling hopeful, and, you know, whatever. And then this sinister ass music happens, and then we come to John Locke's face, And then the next episode is called Walkabout. And you were like, we can't watch that until we record this episode because it's going to change your opinion about John Locke.
Well, kind of. I just mean that I don't want you to... I mean, the whole purpose of this is to get your reaction to each episode.
Yeah.
And the episodes continuously build on this tapestry. So if you know what happens in the next episode, it's going to taint what you say in this one.
Sure.
Obviously. So.
Well, I think that based on this episode, I was completely wrong about John Locke. He seems like a very nice man. I think that maybe Michael is not a completely useless idiot. I think that maybe he's just a dad who, is not super connected to his son.
I just looked it up. So the song at the end of the episode is a song by a guy named Joe Purdy. The song is called Wash Away, Reprise. And then the other song in the episode is Patsy Cline's Leaving on Your Mind, which is...
That's what's playing when the farmer is taking Kate to the quote-unquote train station.
Yeah, and also just want to connect a couple of things for you. So do you remember what Kate said to Jack when Jack was talking about like doing surgery and the angel hair pasta? What did she say she would do if it
Run
happened to
away.
her? Okay, and the song playing when she's being taken to the train station, Leaving on Your Mind. Mm-hmm. So to just connect a couple of themes about Kate.
She's a runner. She's a track star.
Well, she's not a track star. All right, is that the end of your recap?
That's it.
Okay. So a couple of questions for you, just get your input here. Mm-hmm. Did Jack kill Mars definitely, or did he just die sooner than Jack thought he was going to die?
I think that he probably... Well, I don't know. I mean, Jack was pissed when he came out of the tent.
But he was pissed when he went in.
He was pissed when he went in because, he was pissed that he was not able to save the air marshal.
Well, and interestingly, you kind of started to lead into this earlier, and just a brief discussion. So there's a point in the fuselage where Jack is looking for medicine. Sawyer's in there. They have a brief discussion, and Sawyer asks him, like, what are you going to do with the medicine? And he said he's going to try to save the marshal.
Oh, yeah, as
said,
much as it takes.
How many pills? Mm-hmm. He said as much as it takes. So...
And Sawyer goes, how many you got?
Right.
To like... And I thought that was really good. That was good writing. Like, is Jack really going to give all the medicine to this man who he knows is not going to make it?
Yeah, so this is something I guess I can say that's not a huge spoiler if you can't tell already. Lost is a show about philosophy. So what's happening between Sawyer and Jack is a discussion about two schools of philosophy called Deontology and Utilitarianism. So deontology is your act is good just based on whether it's good or not. So the act itself, the value is in the act and not in the result. So from Jack's perspective, it's a good and righteous thing for him to do everything he can to save a life that's suffering. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's the end of the ethic for Jack. All right. For Sawyer, he was implying, like, as you said, there is one guy dying right there. How many pills are you going to give him? Mm-hmm. Right? He's definitely going to die. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody knows he's going to die. They've been listening to him moan for days.
If you remember, Jack was telling Hurley, I think, like, if XYZ happens, like, it's not going to go well. And one of the things was if his abdomen gets rigid, mm-hmm. and his abdomen was rigid, like, mid-episode.
Right.
Like, so, he's obviously not going to make it.
So they're basically having a philosophical discussion because utilitarianism is the greatest good for the greatest number of people, regardless of what you have to do to get there. Mm-hmm. So Sawyer is saying, we let him die to have pills mm-hmm. in case somebody who's alive and can be saved gets sick. Who's right?
Sawyer.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So, but at what point is Sawyer wrong? So,
if
is it always right?
No.
Then how sick is too sick? How sick is not sick enough to get the medicine?
It's resource dependent.
But in this case, let's say you got 30 pills in that bottle, a month's worth. You're taking one a day or something. I don't know. So,
And that's the only pill bottle?
That's the only one of this strong antibiotic that he found. Because he had antibiotics that were strong enough for like
Foot fungus, and what was the other one?
Like a sinus infection
something
or something
like that, yeah.
Yeah, something simple.
Namby-pamby shit.
So what I'm getting at is, it seems, because we know how it turned out, Sawyer was right. But if, let's say Jack gave this guy pills and it did save him, would Sawyer still be right? We happen to know.
I think that when you have that many people and those few resources, I think you have to be smarter than that.
So if you and I are in a plane crash,
I knew you were going to do that.
I'm injured like the marshal. You're fine, and there's a discussion happening that you can hear as to whether or not they should not give me pills. You're going to tell them I should not get the pills.
Is your abdomen rigid?
You don't know that.
Of course I would try to save you.
Right. So it's...
Of course I would. But like, you know...
But these ethical systems are meant to stand up to scrutiny. So moral systems, I should say.
Would you do that?
No, I would be trying to save you. I'm selfish. Like if I had you or the
the kids obviously fuck everybody else for the kids.
But that's the point, right? A philosophical discussion.
Well, his mom's not there, so
these systems are meant to be scrutinized, and that's the point of Lost, really, to me. Is to scrutinize moral and ethical systems. And so in this case, Jack's deontology puts the entire group at risk.
Right.
Because they've got they're not getting more antibiotics on this island. Right. So Jack is directly putting everybody at risk. But that's because...
To save one dude.
Yeah, Jack is a deontologist. Right? Sawyer is a utilitarian.
Well, and two, the air marshal didn't have anybody on the island that was like advocating for him to be saved besides Jack. Because, like, if it were you or me, we're going to be like, give Joe as many pills as you have got to give him until we're like sure he's not going to make it. I mean, he's like damn near dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's a middle ground, but... For sure. I mean, I think it's a fascinating discussion. I love having that back and forth.
I mean, I just mean that Jack was the only person that really cared.
But Jack and Sawyer were the only people discussing it.
Yeah.
So there was 1 versus 1.
Well, no, because Kate was concerned, but Kate did not want him to make it.
But Kate was not in the discussion about the pills. Only Jack and Sawyer were in the discussion about the pills.
Yeah.
Not even Hurley was in the discussion about the pills. And the reason I bring that up is so that you'll know, you don't know where everybody stands on these issues yet.
Well, we know that Saeed said that the people were getting upset by him screaming.
Right. But him screaming can be solved by curing him or him dying.
Yeah.
So he's just putting pressure on the situation, but not in one direction or the other.
Was it Sawyer that was like put him out of his misery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sawyer put him out of his misery, and that's in line with his ethics. So he's following a system. So is Jack. And in this case, Jack forsakes his system at the end,
Allegedly.
potentially. Or does he? You know, there's question as to whether or not he's doing the right thing. Like, is it now, a deontological act to kill this guy?
Yes.
Because his suffering is much, much greater than death.
Yes.
And you'd have to ask the guy, I guess, really. Do you want to die? He didn't get asked if he was murdered. He just was killed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so many people... when they get to suffering like that, ask anybody that's been, majorly injured. They all get to a point where they go like, just let me die.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I mean, it's just an assumption, though. I mean, my point is that we don't know. So all you get to do is speculate.
Yeah.
So we don't know whether Jack killed him for certain. I think it's pretty heavily implied that he did, and the Wikipedia page says that he did.
Yeah, I mean, he has blood on his hands.
Right.
But he was holding...
The guy was covered in blood.
Yeah, I mean, he was holding the wound.
He had a gunshot wound.
Yeah, so...
All right, so another question. They have a conversation at the end on the beach, Jack and Kate, where Kate tries to explain what happened. Jack won't let her, and he says that she doesn't owe him an explanation, that they all came here essentially to get a clean slate, which is what tabula rasa means, or it means blank slate. So, wanted to ask you, do you think they owe each other information on their backgrounds, being stuck on an island together? Or a better question, I guess, would be, Jack says it doesn't matter. Does it matter?
I think it does. I think it does matter. And that part where he said all that, that's what makes me think maybe he did kill the air marshal. Because maybe before all that, he was hardcore, like you were saying, like save him at all costs, whatever. And then he did have to put him out of his misery. So then now he's like, fuck it, we're all not who we were anymore. It's a whole new world. I don't care. Like, this is all new stuff.
So he was previously judging Kate for the decisions that she had made. But then he made one that he never thought he would make. But he knows internally, I'm the same. Yeah. Like, I feel the same.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't
because he still did the right thing.
I'm not sure that he thinks he did the right thing. I think he just, like, right is relative here. Like, he doesn't feel good. Like, he did a thing, but he doesn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting that I didn't remember that exact discussion of who we were before doesn't matter. Which I can think of.
I get where he's going with that, but I think that if there were parts of your life that were relevant, like, okay, so can Jack be on that island and go like, well, I was a doctor before this, but I don't want to do that anymore, and it doesn't matter, so I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, you got there before I was going to get there. So, he was a doctor before. But that's not supposed to matter.
But it does, because that skill set is relevant. Just like any misgivings, like Charlie being a heroin addict or whatever, that's going to come up later. Whatever Kate did, depending on what she did and why she did it, the people on the island may care about that. What if one of those people is a serial killer? Pertinent information.
And, Charlie's a heroin addict. So do you want, for example, if you, pick a bunch of fruit and stuff from the island, you put it all in one spot, do you want the heroin addict to guard it?
Well, it's not heroin, so.
No, but he's not reliable. That's the point. Like, he keeps passing out from doing heroin on the island.
Well, yeah, but he's going to run out.
Yeah, but he's not out yet.
Not yet. That's true.
Yeah, so that would matter to me if I were... Well, it's not like I got a problem with you, but I would like you to not guard the fruit.
Yeah, you don't need a job where you need to be, like, super awake.
Yeah, like, he seems to be serving a pretty good purpose, helping a pregnant girl lift stuff that she shouldn't be lifting or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's good. I thought that was interesting. And obviously, the highlight of the episode for you was definitely the Walt
The dog whistle.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Now, quick question. Locke made a dog whistle.
Impressive.
And he just sat and worked on it.
All day.
Oh, I wanted to give you an update. On my lunch break today, I downloaded a backgammon app on my phone and tried to learn how to play backgammon. It's difficult.
Oldest game of history. They had it in Mesopotamia or whatever.
Yeah, confusing. I'm not 100% into it yet, but I'm going to learn to play it just because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And we'll report back on backgammon. So let's get into predictions. So let's talk about your predictions for the next episode. So what do you think will happen in Walkabout, which I've already told you is a John Locke episode.
It's going to be a John Locke episode. So it's going to focus on...
Do you know what a walkabout is?
No.
Okay, so because it's in the next episode, but it's also a thing you can go do right now. So, well, it would cost a lot of money and time, but you could go do it. So a walkabout is a trek. No, it is a trek through the Australian outback. So the outback is I mean, considerably more dangerous than any terrain that we have in the U.S. It's arduous. You have to be an excellent... Yes. Without a doubt. Not only is it full of some of the most venomous animals on the planet, and
Australia's got some crazy shit going on over there.
that's why they're separate from everybody else.
Yeah, they're like, damn.
Yeah, so that's what a walkabout is.
Okay.
So now, what is your prediction for this episode?
John Locke is going to go on a very dangerous adventure.
Seems like he's on a very dangerous adventure.
Yeah, or maybe he was like an outback guide in his previous life. Because, I mean, obviously he's handy as shit because he made a dog whistle out of bamboo or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you an 8 on this.
Okay.
Yep.
I have no idea.
Scale out of 50. Okay. And then what the fuck is going on? So what the fuck is going on with this island? What's the deal?
I don't know. How far does a dog whistle? How far can they hear dog whistles?
I mean, dogs
also, don't dog whistles like hurt dogs? Not
anymore. I mean, dogs have excellent hearing. But now, when I was a kid, dog whistles would hurt dogs.
Yeah.
Now they just call them. So they can hear them from... They're not meant to hurt anymore. Like, you can call a dog from further with a dog whistle than you can. It's a frequency that dogs can hear that humans really can't, which is why it sounds the way that it sounds.
So that means that the monster is not a dog because it didn't come running.
That's correct. It's a machine elf dinosaur.
It's not a dinosaur.
Well, I was just trying to remember your phraseology.
Machine elf turbine dinosaur.
Turbine dinosaur. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, don't know. I mean, there's some crazy wildlife, but only the dog responded to the dog whistle. So, not dog-oriented monsters out here. Did I mention that they decided to lie about the transceiver?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, only a handful of people have any idea of what's going on at all.
Yeah, Kate told Jack, and then when Hurley said, what did Kate say? He was like, nothing.
Yeah, right.
So Jack is now lying then to Hurley.
Who is a sweet, sweet boy.
So we got a bunch of sweet, sweet boys. Or a couple at least. We got Hurley and now Locke. And then a literal child, So I think, he's pretty innocent at this point.
Yeah. Well, he's not innocent. He's obviously had a very rough go of it. Innocence dies when you have to deal with tragedy and loss and stuff.
I think he is... Well, they do a pretty good job of writing him like a kid.
Oh, yeah.
He's not wise beyond his years or anything. I actually find it really sad when he has found that comic book and he's reading the comic book.
Spanish.
Like, that's a sad moment. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just trying to cope with this terrible situation and he's just reading a comic book.
Yep, and it's in Spanish. He can't even read it.
I tried to imagine being a kid because I had comics a little bit as a kid. There was a comic book store and Dad took me there sometimes. And I just think of being in that horrible situation and trying to find some comfort in the comic books in Spanish. Mm-hmm. So if only he could find somebody to translate it on the island that speaks Spanish.
Does John Locke speak Spanish?
No. All right. Any other predictions for the next episode?
No, I really, I feel like I suck at the predictions, but there's no way to predict. There's no way.
That's literally my point of this entire thing, is it's pretty much impossible. But
I'm hoping that once we get past all the character development, that maybe they'll be like...
There'll be some.
Okay, and then I can start making some judgment calls,
Would you say that your general attitude is beginning to improve?
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm into it.
All right.
Yeah.
So since you're into it, we're going to close this episode out and we're going to watch Walkabout. We'll see you in another life, brother.